Hi everybody, my name is Hannah and this is Pepper and Pine, and I have a project to share with you today. We are in the middle of our Silk Road and Ancient China main lesson block, and we are going to be building the Great Wall of China using this kit by Wise Elk. This is the first time that we're using a kit by Wise Elk, and I am super pleased and impressed with everything about this kit. We liked it so much that I went ahead and I purchased several other kits that they have, and we can't wait to use them. All the materials are already pre-formed for you. Now, we've done other kits in the past where we actually have to make the blocks, which is a great project in and of itself, but to have all of these blocks already pre-formed with so much detail made this whole project really enjoyable fairly quickly, even though it did take several days because you want to give time for the pieces to dry and the glue to dry and set. But overall, it was a really enjoyable process. All the details to the bricks are really well done. You have multiple bricks that are laid in different layers, so it really looks authentic, and everything held together really well. So the only thing is that it comes with a little paper mat where it has the different stencils on it so that you know how to build your original layers. The directions are very clear. It does explain which bricks to use and how to lay them. The only thing is that that paper is quite flimsy, and we did want to reinforce our where we were working. So I brought in this painting board so that we would have the ability to move our project around while it was drying. Once it's set and it's completely dry and all the glue has cured, then you can move the entire Great Wall or whatever project you have from one place to another. It's very sturdy, but while we were working on it, we wanted to be sure that we could move it from place to place just because that paper isn't very sturdy. Something else about the glue. This whole kit is designed so that you can reuse it again. All you have to do is soak your project in a bowl of water and your bricks will release. Either the glue dissolves or something about the plaster just releases in the water. And this is a really cool thing. That way, if you build this and then you don't have room to store it, you can always take it apart and then rebuild it again. We go through our homeschool main lesson blocks every 3 to 4 years, and so this potentially could be used again by a younger student. However, after all the work to put it together, we definitely want to keep it. We don't want to release any of those bricks. And also, if you were considering doing this the first time around, I might suggest using a glue that wouldn't dissolve in water, especially if you do want to have part of this project outside, like we are considering doing, making a whole little village out in our yard with dirt and little streams and trees, and this whole idea that we have for this time period. So if that was the case, then using the glue that came in the kit, or maybe it's part of the bricks, wouldn't be a good idea if you had them outside, because then they would dissolve and then you would ruin your whole project. Okay, so the base of the project goes by pretty simply. I think a lot of the place where you need to be very accurate and precise with how you're laying the bricks comes in the second half of the project after you lay down the ceiling or the roof of the project. And you also have to be mindful of using the correct bricks, because it does come with several different types of bricks, different colors, different thicknesses, and each one goes for a different part of the project. You also want to give this adequate time to dry completely. If you're trying to do this all in one day, then you can get a little bit of shifting in the bricks as they are drying, and it won't make it as stable when you're working on the top half of the Great Wall. So do give yourself several days or even a few weeks to do this project. So it does mean that you need to have a little bit of space dedicated to the project so that you can leave it out as you're working with it. You don't want to move it when it's wet. You want to make sure that you can leave it so that it can dry completely. What's really great about this product is that if you do make a mistake, you can easily fix it by either soaking just the brick that you made a mistake with, or, as you'll see coming up, you can actually cut these bricks pretty easily if you need to for this project. And we did encounter that issue later on. So it's a very forgiving project, a very forgiving materials. However, once it's completely done, it's actually really sturdy. It's so beautiful. It's so stunning. And it's one of our favorite projects that we've done for this unit. Okay, so as we work through the top part, you're going to see that there are a lot of unique bricks for this area, some arches, and I love those details because it really makes the whole project come to life. And at the very end, we're going to be adding different roofs to each of these areas. And the only regret that I have is that the material, the cardboard, is a little bit flimsy, and so as you lay the bricks for the roof, it does cave in just a little bit. Now this isn't a problem, but if you did want it to be a little bit more sturdy, I would recommend adding some chipboard underneath the pieces that come in the kit before you glue it onto the top of those towers. That way you have a little bit more stability as you put down the roof tiles, and at the very end there's going to be like a little watchtower, a little watch house on the top of those towers, and that weight is going to really sink in that rooftop area. So that's the only thing that I would recommend changing about this project or modifying, in addition to either using the glue if you want a more sturdy glue that can withstand weathering conditions if you decide to put this outside. Okay, so this is for my 13-year-old son and my 9-year-old daughter, but she opted not to do this project, so my 13-year-old son did this entire project on his own. Here's the part where we just use a small hand saw to trim away at the tiles, and this is where, if you're not super precise as you're building from the bottom up, you might get to a point where you're going to need a little lip around the tiles in order for you to add the crenels or the very top part of this tower. So luckily they sawed very easily, and that way we had just enough space to add a few more bricks for those details at the top. We spent about 2 to 4 weeks doing this project. Every so often we'd come in and do a little bit, and then we'd step away, let it dry, and then we could come back in and do a little bit more. Fortunately, we had the space to do this. You could definitely do this in just a couple of days if you gave enough time for all of those pieces to dry in between. But given that we had the space and we weren't in a rush, we were able to take our time doing this project. This last part of adding some tiles to the top part of this little structure here was a little bit challenging because we had to add the tiles after the roof was on. And so we just took some extra bricks and we made ourselves our own little kind of scaffolding to keep the tiles in place while they dried. And once that first layer was dry, we could easily add the other layers and they would hold in place. We just have a couple of finishing details and now the project is finished. I really love the way that this project turned out. I cannot wait to make more from this same company. I am so impressed with the quality and the detail. I especially love the little towers at the very top and the swooping roof detail. It's those kinds of things that really set this particular kit apart from other kits that we've used, and we have used a lot in our homeschool. We definitely like adding the hands-on projects to our main lesson blocks. I really feel like it makes those lessons come alive and it really sets an impression for the children. It's very memorable, and I think that overall these are some of the most educational projects that we've done in our homeschool. So here's a final look at those details. I really like the way it turned out. In the end, we have it resting on a shelf in our homeschool room. This is quite a heavy finished project and it's also quite big, so you will need a little bit of space in order to display it if you wish to do that. If you'd like to see some of the other projects in our Silk Road main lesson block, you can tap on the screen right now. Don't forget to check out the blog post that accompanies this video for more information and tutorials. And if you want to see how our homeschool is progressing on a daily basis, you can find me on Instagram at Pepper and Pine.